So today we're talking about compost. What is compost? So it's a biological process where we have aerobic decomposition of any organic materials that then will be broken down and decomposed in a controlled environment into a biologically stable soil amendment. So we manage this system. We control what we add into our compost heaps, into our compost piles. We turn it regularly, and we're managing it for a couple of key components. We're managing it for moisture, we're managing it so that it gets enough oxygen, and we're managing what the feedstock is that goes into our compost. So the feedstock can be a number of different things. Generally, you might have heard the term greens or browns, and that's related to the relative carbon to nitrogen ratios. Browns are things that are a higher carbon to nitrogen ratio, and they're called browns because they refer to things like fallen leaves, twigs, wood chips, and things of that nature. So they're brown. The greens, in contrast, are higher nitrogen. They're still, carbon heavy, but they're a higher proportion of nitrogen in a carbon to nitrogen ratio. And that's things like fresh grass clippings or green herbaceous plant tissue, and then also things like table scraps, food scraps. And if you get into animal materials, manures would be definitely a green material that provide nitrogen to your compost pile. So generally what we're trying to do is make sure when we have a compost pile, we're managing it for oxygen, making sure that there is pore space in this material, that air exchange can happen for aerobic decomposition. We're making sure that we have moisture, but we're not super saturated, but we have enough that microbes can kind of eat at this material. And then we're making sure we have the right ratios of browns and greens in our feedstocks so that we have a carbon source for the microbes to feed on, and we have the nitrogen source to kind of provide those amino acids and the other things the microbes need. And then we can wait a period of time for this degradation to occur. Depending on how well you balance your piles, it could be as little as 2 months. If you are, a little bit less active in how frequently you turn the pile, it could take 6 months to a year. It just depends on how aggressively you are managing this material and how frequently you turn it or balance your carbon and nitrogen materials. Once you've got that all finished, again, we said compost is a biologically stable material that can be used as a soil amendment. So once the microbes are done feeding on all of that, that's when the compost is ready to then be used on your farm, to be used in your gardens, or to be used in any of your potted plants. So we'll learn more in some other videos about how to manage these piles aggressively, but that's kind of what composting is.